no veas, a Sevilla. Y al último que cuando ya salió la bien de regla.
It is Thursday on Raid Shadow Legends, but you knew that. Now, it is the last day of this particular champion training tournament, and whether you're going for the Cheshire Cat Perfect Soul, or simply trying to fill out all these milestones, and are scratching your head a bit for how to actually do so, even though champion training tournaments, unlike events, do pay you for using skill tomes or ascending them, you may want to look at Curse City when it has recently reset, and depending on how seriously you take this particular game mode, especially in terms of pushing Soulcross, there may be certain epics that you've either overlooked or simply forgot existed, and are probably going to benefit from building them out while you're paid to do so. So this is going to be 10 epics that you may or may not have, and for some of these stages you can't use legendaries or mythicals in the first place, you have to get a bit creative. But we're going to start with Soulcross 2 and Falesia. Now, Falesia is one of my favourite epics in the game, in terms of double AoE, where it plays either decreased defense, which can also then place Hex, or simply just debuff extension, both of these on a 3-turn cooldown. She hits decently hard, and if you don't have like the Bistophus that I had there or any others, then she's definitely someone who can probably clear out each wave all by herself if you build her out well enough. Going over to Battlelords, this is one you're going to need for Soulcross 6 alongside Stag Knights that everyone has built at this point, and if you haven't, then why? So, and that is Gezcard the Sigiled. He's a defense epic who can self-buff or just increase attack to your entire team along with himself. An AoE with a up to 75% chance of provoke on a 3-turn cooldown, and then a way to cut their attack on a 75% chance of what is a 1-turn duration, along with his passive so he can keep taking turns. If you are waiting until free regear, then put some good defense Yuka gear on him, and he's going to put in a lot of work in that regard. Staying on Bannerlords for Soulcross 7, and that is Archmage Helmet. Everyone gets him for free from Doom Tower as the very first epic, at least I think he is. So, he's a bunch of buffs to your entire team on a 3-turn cooldown, and then an AoE stun on all but one target on a 75% chance, and cuts turn meter regardless, and his own turn meter can't be cut. So, and because he's a support, he's got above average speed, so he's pretty easy to build out and keep taking turns. And if you haven't already made him, just like a couple of us, then yeah, do so, because you'll be using him more than once. Moving over to Soulcross 8, and that is going to be Hoscarl, who was a previous epic fusion, so again, most of you are going to have him, otherwise you'll have pulled him at some point in a way. He can, again, self-buff increase defense, or also increase resistance to your entire team, also cleanse stun, then an AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown that bucks up to a 75% chance, an extra stun here that bucks up to 40, and then extra damage amp on anyone who is stunned. Yeah, he's pretty good. Going over to Soulcross 10, and this one may not be as necessary because you are allowed to use Void Legendaries, but oh, I'm on the wrong faction, slay me. And that's going to be Ethelyn the Golden. Now, his A3 is merely just a self buff. It's not the most brilliant thing in the world, but his A2 is an AoE block active skills that bucks up all the way over to 100% chance on a 4-turn cooldown, and this is very good for locking out an entire wave, so they are not doing a whole lot. And I think he was available as a part of a traditional fusion, or he may have just been a regular void epic that added to the pool, but if you have him, then yeah, make him if you're going to need him. Just check through first, because you don't need to make all 10 of these if you know you have better options. So going over to Soulcross 12, and we're going over to Kinagashi. Now, this one doesn't allow you to use many champions, it's just defense and support from Skinwalker, Shadowkin, and one other, and the main draw here is the Unconditional Revive, and I believe this is the only Unconditional Revive in the entire Shadow King faction to date. Sure, they have a few that are on conditions, like Gamaran, who is also allowed for this stage, and he's been recently buffed, so he's pretty serviceable now in that regard. But otherwise, you're going to be using this epic for that. Maybe also the ally attack that buffs your 2 meters a bit, but put them in regeneration and some speed, and they're never going to die, so you will scrap your way through the stage eventually. Going all the way over to Soulcross 18, and we're going over to Skaramis. Now, Skaramis is one that I've seen on so many accounts that are like mid-game but haven't actually built him. When he has an AoE provoke on a 3-turn cooldown that doesn't place a hit, so therefore you don't have to worry about affinity, and counterattack, which works with his A1, which either cuts a bit of their turn meter on a 90% chance, or books to a 30% chance of stunning them if they have no turn meter when he hits them with this. Also has somewhat of a bush strip effect, decreased attack on a 75% chance, and if you're not using him for this rotation, using him flat 1, Soulcross 19 as a way to provoke the Tarasses, etc. So yeah, if you haven't made him before then, you should probably be doing so now. After all, I have. So next we're going on to stage 21, and you probably have things like Michnakis of this because it is Shadowkin defense, but we're going over to Hotatsu, who looks kind of weird. Is it a helmet or a face? We're not too sure, but AoE increased defense and also heal on a 3-turn cooldown, AoE decreased attack on a 80% chance, and then also a single target leech and partial cleanse, which aren't quite as good as the A2 and the A3, but that's almost never the case. But yeah, if you require them, then yeah, make them. If you don't, then don't. Now, the last two have one thing in common, and that is they are being used for Fire Knight boss stages. And the first is Ruella. Now, honestly, if you haven't built her already, then I'd be surprised, because triple hit her, so good into the shield, triple hit again, which bucks up to a 70% chance of placing these debuffs, but each hit places all 3, so unless you are very unlucky, it's going to place all 3 if his shield is down. And then this A3, which is fine, but you're probably just going to be using both of these. And then the last one is, everyone has this epic for free because it was added via the Plarium Points program as a warm-up card. Now, people thought at first that this would delay your chance of getting the recently buffed Seer Shivachard, but no, you get both of these at the same progression. And that's Murag Bronzelock. So Murag Bronzelock is for Soulcross 17, and she offers a partial ally attack with 2 allies on a 4-turn cooldown, AoE that places Strengthen, which, given how she counterattacks if she's under her own Strengthen, and her A1 is a double hit, if you have a soul for her to give a Phantom Touch, then that's an extra hit, but otherwise, yeah. And just like Skaramis, she is pretty important for a Soulcross 19, so you'll probably end up building her at some point. And she can do pretty decent damage if you build her out in Nuka gear during 3v gear, but nothing too incredible. But everything she does hit, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is going to be 10 epics. You've either got them built already, are going to be doing so during the last day of his champion training, or you don't need them. But yeah, that's all. And until next time, we're done, so see ya.